And what is up, everybody? Okay, what seems to be blowing up the MMA world right now is the fact that Jon Jones is off his suspension. Nick Diaz is suspended for 5 years. Jon Jones suspended for 5 months. That's not fair. Granted, what Nick Diaz. Granted, Nick Diaz is an idiot. You know, I mean, if you watched his trial with the California State Athletic Commission, I believe they asked him what his name was, and he had to have like 2 of his lawyers explain to him what that meant. And then when they said, "Did you fight in this particular UFC show?" and he's like, "Oh, I plead the fifth." Everybody saw you do it. What are you pleading the fifth for? You know, you plead the fifth to not testify against yourself. That's if there's no evidence against you. And this moron is like, I plead the fifth to, fight that the whole world saw me do. This is weed, people. This is what marijuana does to you. Jon Jones, on the other hand, at least he was smart enough to come up and, at least admit that what he did was wrong. This, that, the other. Didn't try to justify anything like that. The fact that he's getting off after 5 months, that's not cool. Now, I've already made it known how I felt about Jones as a fighter. Very, very boring. I'm very bored watching him fight. There's only 2 fights I was ever like, man, I hope that's good. Wow. If he fights like that more often, then yes, I'm gonna, this is somebody I could get behind. Then I come to find out from Quentin Jackson, apparently he's dangerous for the sport. He's bad for the sport because apparently he goes out of his way to injure his opponents. It's like when you do the leg kicks, it's supposed to be inside the thigh or outside, obviously. You're not supposed to strike for the knees. You're not supposed to go behind the knee, especially. He's literally kicking guys' knees out. Not cool, man. That's not cool. The fact that nobody's called him on it, I'm shocked. You're not supposed to do that. And with the exception of Gustafsson, he really hasn't proven himself a true champion. A majority of the guys that he fought, all over the age of 30, his title defenses, all these guys were over the age of 30. All these guys have, some of them have been former champions, and basically in a couple, not much left to their career. Rashad Evans just lost to Ryan Bader, which I kind of knew was going to happen. Ryan Bader, he deserves a title shot and soon. And meanwhile, Rashad Evans has been competing at the top level for over 10 years. And then how many years before he got into UFC has he been competing? So Rashad, not much time left for Rashad Evans, but that's one of Jon Jones's title defenses. Same thing with Quentin Rampage Jackson. That's one of his title defenses. Same thing with Shogun. I mean, if you saw the Shogun fight with Little Nog, both of them looked like that was the most. It was a valiant effort, and you could tell it's like both of these guys are over the hill, and somebody needs to win. Otherwise it's over for either of them. That's who that was who he beat for the title. He hasn't been champion for that long. Anderson Silva, I didn't like his style of fighting either. But at least the people that he was going up against were more or less his generation, if not younger. 10 title defenses. The guys hit the same generation as him, if not younger. Because Anderson Silva is actually from the previous generation from fighting in Pride when he lost to Rio Chonin. And it was from Pride that he got picked to fight in. He got picked to fight in the UFC, and why they gave him a title shot after only one fight. He beat up Chris Lieben pretty bad, so okay. And then give him a title shot immediately. Did he deserve it? And he held the title for almost 7 years. But everybody he was going up against, like I said, was his generation or younger. Jon Jones has fought nobody but the previous generation of UFC fighters. He's beating them up. The only person he fought his generation was Gustafsson, and look how much trouble Gustafsson gave him. Then when it came to Daniel Cormier, granted, started late in his MMA career and doing great things right now. His recent fight with Gustafsson, I felt like I know why the judges scored it the way they did. I felt Gustafsson kind of did more because he did land more takedowns. It might have looked like he did catch a bit more combinations. His problem was the fact that Cormier, who knows how to get inside guys' reach, would grab him by the back of the neck and connect at least 15 uppercuts at a time. And he kept doing that all throughout the fight. Then not to mention with Gustafsson constantly running away like this. Granted, you're fighting smart. You're trying not to get knocked out. You're making him chase you. But Cormier wasn't gassing out. And I guess Gustafsson thought he was. But Cormier kept coming after him, kept catching him. And I know why they did it the way I know why they judged it the way they did. Hell of a fight though. I understand why it was split decision to Cormier. Hell of a fight. Not taking anything away from either fighter. And with Cormier, when he was going up against Jon Jones, like I said in the review I did for that fight, Cormier knew how to get inside. And for those 2 rounds, throwing bombs on Jones. So what does Jones do? Smothers him for the last 2 rounds. So he wins 3-2. And a lot of people not happy. A lot of people not happy with Jon Jones. A lot of people aren't going to be happy with this decision to call him back so quickly, especially with what just happened to Nick Diaz. Granted, Nick Diaz is an idiot, but if he got 5 years for what he did, there's absolutely no reason you're letting Jon Jones off the hook that early. I'm done talking. You guys have a good night.